welcome to the Asian game. This is episode 3 of Doha Daily, coming to you on match day 2 of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Another, unfortunately, disappointing day for the Asian nations involved, as we saw Iran absolutely thrashed 6-2 by England, their heaviest defeat in the World Cup, and naturally at the same time also the biggest number of goals that they have conceded. I'm joined by Michael Church and Paul Williams. Paul, coming to you firstly, just to sum this up, I think everyone who'd done predictions on this kind of game thought it might be low scoring, narrow, maybe a scoreless. We talked about it last night. Scoreless draw could have been a decent outcome for Iran. It was looking all right for the first 10 minutes, but it really fell to pieces very shortly after that.
Yeah, once they conceded that first, they just kind of crumbled after that, didn't they? We put it on our website, the predictions from our team before the game, and I think yourself predicted a 0-0 draw. I think I had a 2-0 win for England, and there was some other sort of narrow results in there as well. I don't think anyone saw a 6-2 thrashing coming today. Very, very disappointing. Another disappointing result for Asian teams. As you said, it's been a disastrous day, disastrous few days for Asian footballers. We've got some fans coming and mingling all around us here in Souq Waqif. We were pretty
some happy
bullish.
Argentinian fans as well.
And until tomorrow, when Saudi rights the Asian wrongs and defeats Argentina, we'll get to that later. I think most people were pretty bullish about Iran coming into this one. Maybe not so much against England, but maybe certainly for the Wales and the USA games. But I certainly think we thought they'd be competitive, more competitive than that against England, but they were just no match for them in the end.
Michael, it goes without saying that anytime you ship 6 goals in a World Cup match, it's a pretty poor defensive display. Carlos Queiroz was brought back in with the mind to make them competitive. I think most people equated that to being defensively sound. They were far from that, but also from my perspective, they were really poor going forward as well. They didn't have the ball for long, but when they did, we often saw goal kicks sailing long, balls from the back sailing long, balls being mishit, misplayed, runs not being timed properly. I thought the pressing was really bad as well. I mean, there were problems all over the pitch. How much of this, I guess, where does the blame lie for this? Does it lie on the players, on Queiroz? Does it lie on the Federation for making this change 2 months before a World Cup? Or is it a little bit of everything?
I think it's a little too early to make that decision or that determination on the decision to bring back Carlos Queiroz, because I think they just came up against a very good England team today, very much in form. If we want to talk about individual players, Jude Bellingham I thought was outstanding. I mean, really, he put in a performance that underlined that for a 19-year-old player, he really has an amazing, an immense amount of talent, and is genuinely going to be a global star. And I think, look, Iran came up against a team that just, they clicked today. They played very well. Iran, obviously, there's a lot of issues at home. There's a lot of issues affecting the team off the pitch. Losing Biramvand to the head knock very early in the game was definitely a blow, and you could see how much that affected the team.
It definitely was a blow. You're exactly
was.
right.
I mean,
it was a head blow.
It was a sickening one, which actually they kept replaying over and over on TV, which I don't think they really needed to be doing. Look, let's wait and see. Let's not damn them too much. I think today was a free hit for them in some respects. The key for them, I think, was not losing heavily. They lost heavily. It's a 4-goal defeat. That's going to be hard to overturn.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the next challenge, 3 days' time, they've got to recover and get past Wales before the really big match after that with the USA. We will be back in just a moment, though, to look ahead to tomorrow's action involving 2 other AFC nations. But before then, let's have a little look at some of the Australian fans who have gathered here in Doha and get their thoughts ahead of the Socceroos World Cup opener.
Well, I'm George. I've come here from Sydney, and it's my first World Cup, and I'm really excited.
And I'm Declan. I've come here from Melbourne. This is also my first World Cup, and really keen to see as many games as I can.
I think the Socceroos are a really underrated team. There's no pressure and no expectations, and that's really good for Australia. We had a very long Asian qualifying campaign where we kind of learnt what we're good at and what we're not, and I think we've got a good chance of getting out of a tough group.
Yeah, I reckon in the past few World Cups, the winner of the last World Cup has gone out in the group stages, so fingers crossed France goes out in the group stages, giving us an awesome chance to go through.
We weren't expected to qualify against Peru. Many people around the world aren't going to expect us to get a result against Denmark or France, but that is when Australia comes to its best. I think we're going to get 4 points. I think we'll get out of the group, and I think Australia and the Socceroos are going to surprise a lot of people here in Qatar. My favourite player right now is the Cum Dingo. He's come in from the A-League and he's going to score a hat-trick against France. I've got no doubt at all.
I really like our keeper, Matty Ryan, as well as our backup keeper who plays when we need a penalty saver. We call him the Grey Wiggle after a kids' TV show about these people called the Wiggles. Yeah.
I think Brazil's probably the favourite to win this World Cup. It's been a while since they've done well at a World Cup, and I don't think they have as much pressure as they usually do. So I think they're my tip to win the tournament if Australia don't.
Yeah, Brazil look threatening, and Argentina also look very good, and it would be especially incredible for Lionel Messi to win a World Cup, I think.
Okay, guys, so let's look ahead to that match. Michael, Australia-France tomorrow. Clearly, I guess a lot of people fancy the Danish team to do well at this tournament as well, but I think most people would say that France is the real challenge for the Socceroos. How do you think that will play out?
It's a really difficult one to kick off with. France are coming into this with a couple of injuries. Paul Pogba's not here, N'Golo Kante's not here, Karim Benzema's not here, but when you look at the players that they're able to bring in, France has such a deep squad, such an abundance of talent. Australia have brought a team here, 17 of the 26 in the squad. I've never been to the World Cup before. You could very comfortably say this is one of the weakest Australian squads that there has ever been at a World Cup. It's a monumental task, and I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Australia tomorrow.
Paul, I'm Australian, obviously, but I live outside Japan, so I don't quite see the media bubble from Australia, but being around it here, there's certainly a lot of optimism, I think, amongst the supporters, amongst the media, obviously the players and the stuff, that they might be able to get something against France. How likely do you see that?
Not very likely at all.
Right.
I don't particularly share that view myself. I don't know if it's an Australian trait or whether it's a trait of every fan, but when the draw was made and we saw that we're playing France, there's instant pessimism that we're going to get thrashed, we're going to get done. And then the closer that the game nears, the more bold you get and go, no, we can get something out of this. I don't know if that's an Aussie DNA thing that Arnold references often from time to time, but there is that sort of boldness around, as you said, that there is some belief that they can get something from this France game. I don't particularly share that optimism myself. I think, unfortunately, it will be another comfortable defeat for an Asian team. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're standing here tomorrow night talking about an Australian draw and an Australian win. That would be fantastic after a couple of dark days for Asian football, but I think it's just going to be extraordinarily difficult.
Right, well, before that, the third Asian nation to get underway is Saudi Arabia. They take on Argentina, and we want to say thanks once again to SMC, who have helped to bring us here to Qatar and bring you all the action from the FIFA World Cup industry leader in media, sales and advertising. And once again, thanks to SMC. Paul, sticking with you, Saudi, Argentina, every game it seems it's not getting easier. This is another monumental task for the Green Falcons.
Yeah, this is a game that's just got danger written all over it, I think, for Saudi Arabia coming up against a team that many people consider favourites to actually go on and win the tournament against Lionel Messi in his final ever World Cup, hoping to go out.
Might not be the final.
I think most people expect it to be his final one. If he's there in 4 years' time, I think it'll be a surprise. So it's going to be extraordinarily difficult. I mean, Saudi Arabia are vastly improved from 4 years ago, and I guess we're going to find out how much they have improved in that time. Of course, we all remember their result in their opening game 4 years ago when they got hammered by Russia in Moscow. So we'll see how much they've improved when they step out onto the field tomorrow. Hopefully, as I said, we're not standing here tomorrow night talking about another pair of heavy defeats for Asian teams.
Michael, how do you think the Saudis approach this? Do they do what we saw Iran do tonight, basically 5-3-2, just really concentrating early on trying to keep it tight? Will they also view maybe a scoreless draw as a positive outcome, or do we expect... We've seen a little bit more positivity, certainly under Hervé Renard. Do do you think they'll have a go at Argentina, or are they more likely just to try and contain things?
I don't think they can afford to, because they're such a dangerous team in many aspects, right across the pitch. I think they have to look at maybe what Iran tried to do against them against Argentina in 2014, where they frustrated and hassled and just put up the defensive wall, and that almost came off until Messi with a brilliant finish very late in the game defeated the Iranians. I can't see this going any other way but a significant defeat for Saudi Arabia. I hope I'm proven wrong, but you know, with the talent that the Argentinians have, it's hard to see it going any other way.
And just to jump in before you carry on, Scott, when you're talking about whether Saudi Arabia is going to attack them, they've got some fantastic attacking talent, Salam Al-Dossari and the likes, but I don't know whether they've got the attacking arsenal to really take the game. I know, you know, we've spoken about it at length. Martin Lowe's written about it at length for us as well. The issues that they've got in that striking department, where they've scored 4 goals now in, you know, their last 8 or 9 or 10 games. They're not a very high scoring team. I don't know they've got the attacking arsenal to take the game to Argentina. I think it's going to be a frustrate, try and catch them on the break kind of performance.
Right, guys, that is where we will leave things for tonight. There's a lot of fans from all around the world gathering here, but I think the Saudis have come in numbers probably close to unmatched. We were out and about earlier on, and we saw a lot of them gathering, singing, dancing, and having a great time. So let's take you out for today and the Doha Daily with a little bit of vision of some hopeful and optimistic Saudi Arabian supporters.
السعودي محلى بالله جمهور وياه بالله ليش اقول هواه بالله السعودي محلى بالله لا بد ما ننساه بالله واللي تحداه يا ويلو يا ويلو واللي تحداه يا ويلو يا ويلو ليش اقول هواه بالله السعودي محلى بالله جمهور وياه بالله واللي تحداه